The world just, neglected what was going on. The same way you would see conflicts in Sudan, South Sudan, in Ethiopia, in Congo. These are neglected. So what they are calling for is that Africans should sit up and take, their own destiny in their hands. So ECOWAS has had challenges, of course. The divisions between the Francophone and the Anglophone sides are still there. It's one reason why we've not succeeded in, getting a common currency, the ECO. But by and large, I think that there is more to show for it. Now, ECOWAS has always responded well to common problems and common challenges. It's unfortunate that in the case of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, the leaders have responded the way they have, but that's only a temporary setback because the foundations are very strong, and what one expects is that they will be back to the front.
Okay. Finally, because I don't want to take your time, as an academia, you've been a former vice chancellor of Nigerian University. During your time and what you know about the education sector in Nigeria, what challenges do you think education in Nigeria has majorly, particularly tertiary education, and what best steps can be taken to mitigate? Like, for example, you proudly call yourself an homegrown student, and people even outside of the country were proud of that. How can we go back to the days where we have proud homegrown students?
Well, we don't have to go back to the days. I even think that today we have brighter and better equipped and better educated people graduating from our universities. We haven't had any decline, in the quality of our education. If anything, the quality has grown higher in many respects. All you need to see is, how very bright and brilliant our young people are, today. Well, but what is the challenge? A major challenge that I see is that universities, especially and polytechnics and colleges of education, those higher institutions, seem to have lost their bearings of relevance to society. And whatever has happened to them, it's because society can no longer see the difference that they make. Now, what I'm saying is this, university everywhere. Now, universities were like that a long time ago. Universities bring light, wherever they exist. Universities solve problems wherever they exist. Universities transform, communities and societies. So, universities should be in the forefront of solving many of our problems. And look at them. We don't have electricity the way we want to have. What are the institutions of higher learning doing about that? We can't get clean water. What are the universities doing? I'll give you an example. For nearly 3 years, there was a prolonged drought in Cape Town, the Cape area of South Africa, the Western Cape. But Cape Town in particular was very bad. They started to ration water. Churches, religious places of worship were fasting and praying every day, for rain and so on. But the universities in the Western Cape, namely the University of Cape Town, the University of the Western Cape, Stellenbosch University, they came together, to say this is a big problem. We can't go elsewhere to do it, and they devised something that universities should be doing. They went, and Cape Town is the place where the two oceans meet, the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. So it's well served by the seas. And they say we cannot have the seas here and lack water. It's a contradiction. So they started to pump water from the oceans, and they had a whole processing plant, because they had to take salt out of the water. They had to make it safe for consumption. They did that. The project took close to 9 months to 1 year, but they conquered drought. And everyone in the Cape area is grateful that the universities were there. I mean, these are the kinds of things that one wants to see. Universities do research and development, what in industrialized countries you call R&D. These are the things that drive development. That universities, polytechnics, and institutions of higher learning can, conquer hunger, for instance. Give us, seedlings, that, are disease resistant. Conquer, our health problems, sickle cell anemia, malaria. Deal with those problems so that, but the problem, which is a big one, and we all have to work hard to overcome it, is that we have been conditioned by our colonial experience and our post-colonial experience to be consumers of only things that are produced from outside. So in other words, who doesn't know that people were not dying because of disease here? That is, we had medicines, we had our own ways of managing health. But today, we only look to what the Americans have discovered, what the British have discovered, to validate our own, health institutions. It's a pity. Not many people know that diseases like sickle cell and diabetes and so on are, endemic to our kinds of societies, and yet we have to wait for researchers from outside to come to tell us what to do. So I think that we need a reorientation. We need, new philosophy. We need the new template for our universities and institutions of higher learning. They have to become more relevant. And once they hit that relevance factor, we would be the ones, if the unions say we are going to close the universities for 3 months, we would write and demonstrate and say we cannot afford to have universities closed for even 1 week.
Thank you very much, sir. And it's a pleasure being with us on this edition of Premium Times Special.